All right. Welcome to Les Paul Hagstrom Reclamation Project Part 2. And this one threw me for a little bit of a loop. There was as with a lot of these projects going, whether it's taking off bridges or you know looking inside guitars or finding out what's underneath the bridge plate. Electric guitars can throw you for this kind of hidden loop as well. And this one was surprising because I knew that, this looks like a Hagstrom tremolo, and there's a pretty big long spring that is attached to it. So um, I was expecting to find something under there, but I was expecting to find it already filled. And this was vacant under here. Somebody had put something in here that was like, like I think it must have been fiberglass or something. But there was the cavity in here, and I I think like just to kind of illustrate the point here, maybe I'll bring up my Instagram. We'll take a look at that. But so this was how it started. And then I basically was fixing to just kind of drill down in there, and I was expecting to kind of find, that whatever this filler was, it felt like Bondo, but I was thinking it was going to go all the way down to whatever they had relieved for the spring. And when I found that void there, I was pretty surprised. I just kept peeling it away, and then I sharpened my chisel, and I just pared all of the fill away until it revealed this thing, which is a pretty large hole down in there. So I've got some decisions that I got to make about how I'm going to deal with this hole. Right now, I'm thinking I'm going to get a plug cutter, and that's about this size, and I'm going to cut a bunch of plugs and just kind of stack plugs up until I reach the top. But for right now, what I want to do is I want to start filling this. I want to start filling this recess, and I've gotten a pretty good jump on it here. Um, so this is the piece that I've basically manicured here, and I thought I'd throw it in here and show you kind of what it's looking like now. This would be a good time to go over and look at the YouTube zone here. So this is what the patch is looking like, and I thought I'd run you through kind of my process on how I wound up fitting that. And so one of the things that I did a while back was I got some of this gloss finish low tack frisket film, and some of the old I think Frank Ford had the old trick maybe of putting the packing tape over something and then tracing it with the Sharpie. And so I decided to replicate that, except with this super low tack frisket tape, or excuse me, frisket material. And so what I did was I cut just cut a section out that was trying to get as little of it onto the top as possible. Something about like this. Some of you may or may not know, but I'm super duper paranoid about putting adhesives on vintage finishes. Anybody that was here for Fountain City for their relic expose part 1 will know that this checking right here, we were talking about different types of checking, and this is the type of checking that doesn't actually break the surface. It's just kind of like lifted up into a peak and Sean was like, "Oh, you mean the kind that looks like it's about ready to fall off?" And I was like, "Exactly." So this finish with the way that it's checking gives me a lot of pause about putting any kind of adhesive on here and not having a whoopsie daisy. This this particular frisket being super duper low tack, though it seems pretty good, but I'm still going to take a couple, you know, still going to be very, very gentle about taking it off and putting it on. And so, yeah, here we go. We'll just put a little bit on here. I've got this micron pen. I'm going to go around the outside of this and try to really carefully. How's my forehead doing? Who's on forehead duty today? Chris Shaltis, you want to be on forehead duty? You want to tell me when my dumb head's in the way?
Sure thing, man.
Okay. So it's going to be a little hard with the parallax, but this is going to be a recreation. But I'm really going around this, trying to trying to transfer every kind of like little nook and cranny in here.
Ian, I don't know how important it is, but what kind of pen is that?
This is a micron. This
Sorry if you already, al-
this is
already said that.
yeah, go yeah, it's a pigment pen.
Pigment, okay. But Micron, that's the brand?
Yeah. All right. So then what I did was I put the cap back on my pen because those pens are expensive. And I got myself this piece of mahogany right here. I pulled this off and transferred this to the mahogany. You got a little bit of a sheen on there. And this, I'm really making sure it's pressed down, but I don't want to like, you know, that micron will dry eventually, but it's not dry right now. And so yeah, can everybody see that? I'm gonna put the guitar in its case for a sec. All right. And I am gonna get a fresh, brand new X-Acto knife blade. I'm gonna this is where I'm gonna stick my tongue out and try really hard. I'm gonna go around this thing, like really trying to transfer as many of those little nooks and crannies as I can with, pretty serious force. This is not, I'm not like just etching this. How's my head doing, Chris?
You're doing just fine. Is that a veneer? Is that what that is? Or did you?
This is a I think it's probably a back.
Okay.
It's an older back set that had laying around. Is anybody else sticking their tongue out right now? Okay. So I'm going to start peeling this around. And I don't want, so it wasn't coming off there. No, it was. I want to leave that in situ right there. And I'm going to come back around it with some chalk.
Ian, was there a particular reason why you chose the gloss finish on the frisket film as opposed to like a matte finish?
Yeah, because I'm gonna be able to see through it better.
Okay.
And so there's something that I can like fairly reliably cut to. Everybody seeing that? All right. Quick bandsaw. Those just need to see me bandsawing things. Bandsaw over here. And that brings it down to something about like about like that. So the next thing I did was I got my violin knife all sharpened up, and I just pretty much started going around it, chopping. Bringing this in. So there's two things there. There's the line that I cut with the X-Acto knife, and there's also there's the chalk for good measure. I found it very easy to see what I was doing here. Chisel as well. How are we looking on? We looking good?
Everything's looking good.
Come in, start pairing these, once it starts giving me a little bit of grief towards the edge, I come in and start pairing this around, and just work my way around like that. So once we get down to into this area here, let's see here. Where is that? What's spotlight right now?
Just you.
Just me?
Yeah, we see the guitar on the YouTube video.
Okay. Here's the guitar on the Zoom as well. Okay. So once I start getting it close, and this is starting to get really close, but it's not going home yet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come sharpen some of this chalk and give myself just a little bit of chalk around the edge here. I'm going to start pushing this in. And pulling it out and seeing where that chalk lands. So let's see here. You see chalk on the Zoom, probably pretty hard to see, but chalk on the YouTube is probably quite a bit easier to see. Is that right?
Yeah, you can see it on both, but it's probably easier on YouTube.
Anyway, so I got a little bit of chalk there, a little bit of chalk there. We got some here, and there. One of the things that I'm looking at while I'm doing this too is like there may be sides that are already starting to fit a little bit better than others. And maybe I need to like do like just a little bit of a shift somewhere. Like maybe it seems like it's maybe just a little bit gappy up there. So if I take it on, if I start taking material off of this edge, it may bring that together. So once I get down to this level, I'm not using the knife anymore. I'm using a file. And so I'm just giving it kind of like, a little bit like this, a little bit like that, a little bit like this, a little bit like that. I may also be just slightly tapering it, like very subtly, but like I definitely once it goes home, I want it to be able to, I want it to kind of like, be able to wedge just a little bit. So if I'm leaning my file one direction, it's definitely going to be towards the bottom. I think that goes without saying. So this is going to be black and it's going to be opaque. And it seems like you should be able to just kind of roughhouse this and, kind of phone it in a little bit. But whatever you use to fill around here, it's gonna have a hard time if you've got a thick, a thicker line of different materials. So if for whatever reason, like the old patch that was in here did not fit very well at all. And so wherever there was like a gap there, they filled it with something. It looked like putty or whatever, but you had these wild kind of hardness mismatches between, the original wood and the original finish, the fiberglass or whatever they had, and then that whatever the fill was, that looked like some kind of putty. And you're asking Nitro a lot to not post cure differently over those two materials or those three materials. And so, like really minimizing the line between these two surfaces is going to wind up leading to probably slightly better results when it comes to post cure.
Ian, it's a little bit difficult to see the direction of the original grain, but I'm assuming you're aligning your plug in the same orientation of the grain of the original?
Yeah, pretty close. You know, definitely north to south.
Yeah.
Um,
Once you have that piece fitted snugly and you're comfortable with it, is there a concern of having to remove it without damaging it once you fit it in there?
oh yeah. You gotta be pretty careful. This actually has a pretty good um, spot right here because this little spot in here was like completely filled with putty. When I
Hmm.
was taking the finish off of here, I was sanding on here, and this part right here just basically chipped, you know, flicked the putty right out. You can see the remains of the putty right in here. And
Yeah,
so
so
this
you have
gives me a really nice lifting edge. And even if I mar it just a little bit in here, I'm probably going to have to do like some kind of scoop in this area anyway,
right.
just to pick up the slack. So it's not that big of a deal. If on on you know, one of the ones where we did fit plugs on like some of the old Ding Kings. Some of the things that I would do is I would actually glue like a little handle onto this so that I could get it uh, in and out of the hole easier
Yeah.
without messing with it. So I'm not going to need it this time, but gluing handles onto to these is really, you know, just something that you can pair off at, after, you know, you're getting ready for finish. You can just pair it off with a chisel. And it doesn't have to be much. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Thank you.
I mean, is there anything more relaxing than watching somebody else work? But we're getting really close. So it's starting to transfer some of the chalk onto the bottom here, which tells me that it's really in there. It feels like it's still hanging up on this edge just a little bit, but it's not transferring too much chalk, and it's a little hard to tell because this edge down here is very munched, and there's also like just a little bit of something in the. Okay, so we got that. That's getting along. I won't bore you with the rest of it. But I wanted to talk about like what I'm going to do with the remainder of the holes. So I've got I've got a plug cutter set up, and go ahead and let's see, where is that? So anyway, plug cutter set up, same material. Just going to cut a few plugs.
Ian, are you a fan of those tapered plug cutters or just a straight up
I'm
and
just
down?
doing a straight one because I'm gonna have to fit this. You know,
Okay.
this is not like, this is pretty. All of these are oblong, and I'm just not willing at this point to make them symmetrical just yet. And you know, like I would have to drill out to something. Maybe the taper one would be okay. But in looking at this, if I fit these to these, like, I mean, it's just gonna like, I think ultimately, if there is post cure and there's a line or there's like a slight, you know, deviation in the color a little bit, just symmetry winds up drawing the eye a lot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come around here. I'm going to eyeball this. And like this one over here is probably a better example. It's pretty oblong. So I'm just going to start cutting this, and maybe like a, once again, like a slight taper.
A little bit of a head issue on the
Okay.
Zoom. YouTube's fine though.
So the idea here is to fit the plug to the existing shape, not to reshape the guitar hole, correct?
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, like it certainly would be. I don't know how much it's coming through on here, but those holes are pretty munched.
Yeah.
They're not. Um, and like I was saying, that kind of works. That kind of works for what we're trying to do. Everything symmetrical draws the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Could you use that frisket trick again on those holes?
I could, yeah. You know, I think it might be overkill on this. I think I can eyeball into it pretty good. But if you were really needing it on this, I think you could do that for sure. Oh, my tongue's stuck out now.
Ian, are you recording both of these?
Yeah, we're gonna splice them together.
Okay. Because occasionally the Zoom, your body's getting in the way and your head's getting in the way.
Okay. All right. So that's a weird little plug. I might do that over. Um, give that another look. I may also buy, do a couple of these and go, you know what, I'm buying tapered plug cutters. It might also be the type of thing that, once it gets some tight bond put to it, it might just swell everything up just so.
How much of a void is underneath the plug there?
I'm gonna definitely bring that up. Matter of fact, I may just push this one home and then do another one, but I'm definitely gonna fill those. So yeah, all right. So that's the wood replacement part of the proceedings, and now we're gonna get to why I went to the trouble of doing getting the YouTube thing here. I got 3 different new blacks to mess with. This black is tricky. It's tricky for a lot of different reasons. One is black is surprisingly it's made in a lot of different ways chemically, and it is they all have like different looks, and you can get really close and still very far away. So I've I've talked to some people, and I've heard some intel on what Gibson may or may not be using, or may not have been using back in the day. And honestly, like I don't find it super helpful. We got to use the materials that we've got today. And so I just grabbed a bunch of new blacks and gave it a whirl. This right here is iron oxide black. This is something called Mars black. And this is something called ivory black. And each one of these, I believe, I'm not sure about Gamblin, but I was tempted to go with some Kremer pigments, but I think these were all made in a slightly different process. I think ivory black is also known as bone black. And basically they burn bone, and that's your black. So this color that we have right here is it's a few different colors. It's hard to know what this would have looked like coming out of the factory, but one thing that it definitely would not have had coming out of the factory was it would not have this yellowed clear coat here. This is, we all know that clear coat without UV inhibitors in it ambers over time. It's worn off pretty good on the binding on the body, but if we look at the binding on the peg head, you can see that yellow is quite pronounced. And this is one of those things in black that if you don't take this into consideration when you're doing your color work, you're going to miss pretty good. So some obvious things. Some of the scuttlebutt that I saw on the internet suggested that maybe people were saying that they might have used dyes on this. Boy, I don't think so. Like, there's no evidence of any. Like, I've got super duper. I don't know if you can tell, but I've got these crazy LED shop lights, and man, they're crazy bright. and there is zero evidence of any grain lines in there. And even with modern trans tint, boy, you just can't go to opaque with black and dyes, as far as I can tell. Not in any kind of way that you'd want to do in a guitar factory. Like, everybody in a guitar factory wants to get these done in the fewest coats possible, and I just think that's always going to be pigment. So for the guys out there that are suggesting that these were coated in dye, I don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't know what dye they would be using, or seems like those information lines seem to be short on specifics too. So that leaves us, or at least from my perspective, it leaves us with pigments. And I wanted to give you a kind of a look at, I would highly recommend switching over to the YouTube, the YouTube view now, just because this is going to be hard to see on Zoom. But does anybody that's looking at the YouTube notice? No, the sheen is a little messed up, but is anybody noticing? And there's a little bit of weirdness from the light reflection, and there's a little bit of weirdness because the LED is making the camera go bonkers. But does anybody notice a difference in those blacks now on YouTube?
YouTube's
I
a little
really
bit
can't tell
behind
because
on the
it's so
feed.
behind. It's way behind on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still putting the plugs in on the YouTube that I see.
Oh, really? Okay.
I can
Maybe
see.
try hitting the live button there.
Yeah, I can see them. I can see the blocks on YouTube, and
Oh.
Push your red dot to the end.
Got him now, yeah.
Oh, got it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks.
yeah, it looks. I mean, you can see at least a noticeable difference, certainly with the center one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring the light down too. Unfortunately, I don't get to control white balance on here, and you can see that black line there is 100% the sensor freaking out from the LED light. I don't know what that is. I'll try to get it over. It's pretty hard to see what's going on there. Now I'm gonna take those same swatches here and move everything around. I'm just gonna like ignore the zoom look because it's just not gonna come through on there anyway. So let's focus on this. Okay. How about now? Can you see the difference in the three now?
Yes, it's clearer now. Thank you.
Yeah, part of that is because the angle or whatever. But part of it too is you can just see it. Where's it? Hold on a second. Spotlight here. Part of this is that you can just see this the contrast better on the black background. And so in looking at these and ranking them in terms of blackness, this is basically charcoal gray as far as I'm concerned. This is just a very, very dark gray. And this is the iron oxide. This is blacker than that. But still has a gray component. And when I roll it around in the light and get it on angle too, it really shows that off. And this is the Mars black. This ivory black is the blackest of all of them. And it's also most black on edge as well. This one's blacker than this one, but as you get it on edge, it goes to charcoal gray pretty good too. And that edge look is like really, really important in this too. So yeah.
And you can really see it with this angle. You can really see the yellow on the top of that guitar.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is critical. You know, you take this light away and you've got black, you know. And it would be very tempting just to take black and anoint this with some black. You miss this yellow component, and in really good lighting, it's gonna look like clown shoes. So, all right.
It almost looks like there's a bit of a green tint to it as well.
There is a bit of a green tint to it. And that makes, you know, even though this is the black, you know, this is the blackest black that we've got, that may not be the right one. So it's almost impossible to tell. You know, I was looking for different spots that maybe I could suss out what was the right one. And one of the things that I did was I pulled the control cavity, hoping that some of this stuff in here had escaped UV for most of its life, and some of it has. Not completely, but there's a little bit at the very base of the control cavity that has an interesting look to it. I don't know if you can see this.
Yep.
But that does not have, it has a little bit of the yellow, but at the very bottom there, it's not nearly as yellow as the actual back.
So since you probably can't lighten a black pigment, would you go over the black with a lightly tinted clear?
Yeah. So the black is not what changed.
Right.
The clear coat is what changed.
Right.
The black may have changed. The black may have changed a little bit under UV. I mean, who knows? I think it's probable. And everything changes under UV. Everything changes with age. So, I mean, it's probably a different black. Whether that's helpful now or not, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to test it out either, other than, you know, scraping something off a valuable guitar, which I'm not prepared to do. So yeah, so the next step is going to be to take these swatches. I'm going to get some Mix-All Black just for fun, even though I know from times past that it's not gonna work without modification. But I'm going to take these swatches and I'm going to start applying yellow to them and see if I can pull it up. So why don't we do like a little bit of that now? We got a little bit of time. Give me a second. I'm going to set everything up in the back really quick. All right. Can anybody still hear me?
Yep, still hear you.
All good.
Okay, I can barely hear you. So, yeah, let's just get on with it. So I'm going to use some as medium. I'm going to use some Ultra Bond Ultra Flow clear gloss.
Which black did you end up choosing, Ian?
Yeah, hold on. Okay, say that again.
Which black did you end up deciding to go with?
I haven't decided yet. I gotta get yellow on them to decide what I'm going to use.
Okay.
Okay, somebody else say something so I can hear what's going on.
Yeah, testing 1, 2. There we go.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go with like a little bit of yellow transient. I'm going to go with Get my Q-tips. I'm going to go with a solid. I was going to say a solid microscopic tobacco. Oh, there we are. A solid microscopic tobacco brown. Yeah, that solid microscope might be a little bit much, but we're gonna find out. We'll at least get some yellow on there and see what's what. So this is just a X-Acto knife on a stick. I'm also gonna move these lights, those blast lights back here, so I can see what's going on. That's a bit aggressive, but we'll stop there on that one. So that was a little bit aggressive. So I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna kick this down by about 50%. I'll blow my gun out. Little gun maintenance here. Don't blow lacquer through your. Don't blow it out through your gun. Always dump your cup and then blow thinner through it before you change. That looks pretty nice. Little tip on airbrushes. I always get the ones with the the hole in the back here so I can come in here with my Q-tip as I'm cleaning out and getting done with this, and I can hit that needle and that nozzle set, or excuse me, the packing back there, and that'll prevent it. It'll give it a little bit more cleaning and usually prevent it from locking up. All right, I'm going to move the cameras back, and we'll take a look at the see what we got. Anybody got a favorite? I think
Looks
this
like
one could.
I
the
like,
one in
I
the
like
middle, maybe.
yeah, exactly. The middle one, I think.
Yeah, the middle.
Yeah, you know, I think the two outside ones could use a little bit more yellow though. Let me see what's. I'm gonna do just a little bit more yellow on those two, and then we'll take a look.
So you're going to reshoot that 50-50 mix you just mixed up?
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit more of that.
So while Ian is busy working away, maybe I can ask a simple question. Where do you guys get the trans tints that he was using? Do they come from
Oh,
Jeff Jewett directly?
you can get them from Homestead, or the color tone. The color tone dyes from Sumac are the same. They're the same colors.
Okay.
And matter of fact, I think Sumac might have a couple of proprietary colors. I'm not sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. So let's see what we got now. This stupid light. All right. Well, definitely not this one. That one's, I think this is the Mars. Yeah, that's the Mars. This one got really yellow. This one looks like it could still use a little bit more yellow. But the iron oxide is looking really, really good. You know, the other thing about the iron oxide is it's picking up that green,
Interesting.
which is weird because, you know, black plus yellow does not equal green. At least not in my color wheel.
Yeah, but if iron oxidizes, it'll go toward the brown, and you're tending toward a yellowish green if you're in brown, right?
I think maybe that's right. Boy, my money was on the ivory, but I've easily put as much yellow on the ivory, and it's still, maybe it's just too black. The
Yeah.
iron oxide black is looking pretty swanky.
Ian, your lamp is blocking the view of your pieces of wood there on the YouTube video.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go around like that. All right, is that getting it good on the YouTube?
Yeah, that's better right there. You could see the yellow there.
All right, cool. Well, this has been very illuminating. All right, any questions before we wrap things up? I think we all know where it goes from here. A lot of painty, sandy, squirty, squirty,
So you,
painty.
yeah, so you obviously don't have enough yellow mix there clear to reuse what you have. You're going to have to remix it and do it from scratch each time, right?
Yeah, but I think I got a pretty good handle on it. That the brown got away from me a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think that was a good thing. I think it wound up. I like what it's going to do, but this is why before I anoint this guitar with any of my various concoctions, I'm probably gonna build up about, I would say, at least three more sets of these swatches and really play with it. So the other thing is I've got some playing to do with is I've got a couple different cold checking lacquers that I'm going to play around with, and I'm also going to play around with layering them to see if I can get them to check below the surface and not bring their checks to the top of the surface like they are on this guitar. I think honestly, I've cut checks and I've seen a lot of cold check, force checks, and neither one of them look right. And I think that probably I would say cut checks on a small area look better in my mind than force checks. But it may be something where there's a combination of both because you can't force. We go back to YouTube and let's see how tight we can get on this.
Yeah, while you're moving it around, those checks are all east to west. They look like they're going horizontal across the body.
Yeah, we got all kinds of different orientations here. We've got the big dogs are really going, they're going this way.
Yeah.
But in between, we've got, like a little semicircle there. And then we've got, all of these kind of like cross grain checks.
Yep.
So, but once again, like there isn't, to my eye, and I've got old eyes, but I'm in optovisors right now. And I don't see a fissure. So anyway, we'll play around with the cold checking stuff. And it may be the type of thing where we get, something that looks relatively good with 90% of it. And I just have to come in and, cut a few cross grain checks here and there.
Yeah.
So
you also don't want to go too thick on that too, right? If you're gonna force it to check on its own and build it up from a lot of layers, too much will be a problem.
yeah, I think that's right. Jeff, excuse me, Rick. So I've got Rick's cold checking formula from Glue Boost, and I think I've got Oxford's version, and yeah, I think I'm going to experiment with less is more, and try to really use a mixture of the two, hopefully in layers. I mean, it's a little weird because nitro is going to wind up finding its own whatever. So, but right now the idea is to go cold checking on the bottom, and then some very neutral lacquer, some modern lacquer with some plasticizers approaching the top, and then give those cold checking layers a lot of time to kind of cure, like and lose their solvents, so that hopefully the next ones don't wind up making a mush and having all of the different whatever it is mix around. So kind of like how pigments do. I don't know. Anyway, I'm a barbarian.
Hey, Ian.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is the second segment. I don't know if I missed when you made those swatches. Was that just the pigment powders in what medium?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, these were just the pigment powders, just in lacquer.
Okay.
Yep. Just what you saw there with how I mixed up the dye, but just in lacquer. And really, I had, one second, Chris, I got these little mixing cups from Amazon.
Yeah.
Excuse me, little mixing spoons. and
Yep.
it was probably about five each
Okay.
into like half an epoxy mixing cup of lacquer, or probably more like a third of that full of lacquer. So
What kind of
not-
lacquer? Like a gloss lacquer or
Yep. gloss
okay.
lacquer.
Okay. Does that stuff dissolve? Does that powder dissolve?
No, it doesn't. It suspends.
Okay.
So it reaches a saturation point. So basically, if you mix it in and you see particulate at the bottom of your cup, then you've reached the maximum that you're going to put in there. And
Okay.
if you're gonna dump it into an airbrush, it's not great to dump loose particulate into an airbrush because those will clog up your nozzle. So if you do see that, just kind of like, pan for gold and just kind of like,
Yeah.
keep the gold in the cup.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't know if you've ever gone through this before, but how are you venting your room down there?
I got a exhaust fan down there. That's why I turned it on. That's why I was wondering if you guys were
Yeah.
still gonna be able to hear me.
No, I didn't hear it going, but I was just curious. You're just spraying it right there, but it's not like right over the bench or anything, or you're feeling all right spraying it just.
I mean, honestly, like having these out in the other room right now is giving me more
Yeah.
more of a funky feeling than I did spraying it, because I'm right next to the fan, and
Right.
the airbrush just doesn't put out that much. It doesn't put out that much fog, and
Yeah.
it's away from me, so I don't smell it. This I'm smelling, so I'm going to put these back by the fan.
Right. All right. It's always my battle when I'm spraying in here.
Oh yeah,
Steve, what kind of fan are you using on your back end there?
It's explosion proof, 12 or 16-inch explosion proof fan that I've got mounted into the window there.
Yeah,
And
that's one.
it does pretty good. I got the idea from Dan. He's got that fan that he built into his wall there.
Yeah,
I have a window and it works pretty good, but when something's gassing off, then it's, the whole room stinks.
sure.
all right. Any more questions?
I got a question about your gun
Yeah.
or your brush. What brush are you using?
I'm using the 0.0, but there's a new one. There's a new higher end one on Amazon that I'm thinking about getting. I just haven't gotten confirmation that it's solvent resistant.
Yeah.
But there's a new one that's like $71 that looks really, really nice.
Is it the Garleri one?
Say that one more time.
Garleri, GAA?
Yeah, that's the one.
Your
You-
your one looks like it's got like an air control on the front. Do you use that?
Yeah, I do. So that only on theirs, that only comes with the 0.2 nozzle set,
Yeah.
which is probably it's probably good to have one of those.
Yeah.
So you can do you can choke that all the way down and do like very fine stippling patterns with it, which is super duper useful for obfuscating stuff on wood without spending a lot of time painting crazy little grain lines and stuff. So any other questions?
No, the chat is clear.
All right.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Ian. That was
Thanks,
really
Ian.
helpful. Can't wait to see the next one.